Right now, in the rain, I'm walking home alone, recalling the scene of being rejected by Liu Ying during the day. I let out a sigh. Forget it. I better not bother her anymore in the future. Looking up, I saw a young girl sitting dazedly on a park bench. As I got closer, I realized, isn't she our school's most famous beauty, Shen Mengyao? But in this pouring rain, she was as helpless as a stray cat. I mustered up the courage to hold the umbrella in my hand over her head. Sensing my presence, she actually called out my name correctly. You're Gu Qi, right? But her voice was faint, almost drowned out by the sound of the rain. My heart fluttered a little. You'll catch a cold if you keep staying here. Aren't you going home? But she turned her head away without saying a word. Only then did I realize. Her clothes were very dirty. Even her dress looked like it hadn't been changed in days. She was silent for a long time, and suddenly mumbled, I don't have a home to go back to anymore. Hearing that, I frowned, as if I had thought of something. Seeing her body trembling nonstop, I slowly spoke up. If you don't mind, do you want to come to my place? I thought she would coldly refuse, but her eyes welled up with tears. Is that really okay? But I just extended my hand towards her. As long as you agree, it's fine. 3 minutes later, Shen Mengyao stood motionless in my house, looking a bit bewildered. Noticing her discomfort, I handed her a set of clothes and a towel. You are soaked from the rain. Go take a shower first. The bathroom is at the end of the hall. On the right, you can use the shampoo and body wash as you like. Watching her walk into the bathroom, I turned and went straight to the kitchen. When Shen Mengyao came out of the bathroom, she happened to see me carrying a bowl of hot food and placing it on the table. Eat. I didn't explain anything, just looked at her and said it plainly. Before Shen Mengyao could say anything, I brought over a cup of hot water and 2 blister packs of medicine and placed them on the table too. After doing all this, I moved away to the sofa. Shen Mengyao sat at the table, feeling a bit conflicted. In her heart, the first thing was definitely resistance, but her body wanted her to accept it. After all, the feeling of hunger had taken over her brain. She looked over at me, sitting at another table doing homework, as if I didn't exist. It was clearly just ordinary fried rice, but she blushed with embarrassment as soon as she put it in her mouth. 10 minutes later, Shen Mengyao had eaten everything cleanly. And just then, I asked the question I had been wondering about for a long time. Trust me, I'll keep it a secret from others. Can you tell me what you meant when you said, you have no home to go back to? Shen Mengyao sobbed for a long time before she slowly spoke. Her parents, more than a week ago, were in a car accident and unfortunately passed away. Now, she's no different from an orphan, and no relatives want to take care of her. Her grandparents are also gone. I listened to the whole thing with a frown. Now I finally understand why. Shen Mengyao was sitting there crying all by herself. Such a tragic thing. She has to bear it all alone. It's really too much for her. At this moment, the room was very quiet. Only Shen Mengyao's faint sobs could be heard. My eyes darted away, not knowing what to do. Shen Mengyao is our class president. Not only is she good at studying, she also has an extremely good relationship with everyone. A cheerful and lively personality. She's the soul, the center of the class, and yet now she's crying her eyes out in front of me. Right now, there's only one thing I want to be clear about, and that is, no matter what, I can't let Shen Mengyao leave, after all, in her current state. It's definitely not safe for her to be alone. Besides, it's still raining heavily outside. Thinking of this, I said directly, you can just stay here. You can leave when you have a place to go. When Shen Mengyao heard me say that, she immediately snapped out of it. She waved her hands in panic. No, 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 you'll leave right now. But before she could finish speaking, I suddenly looked up at her and said in a low voice, either you stay here, or I'll call the police and let the police take care of you. You choose. Shen Mengyao sobbed a few times. With her tear-filled eyes, she looked at me with even a hint of resentment. Is this how you talk to Liu Ying too? My mouth opened, my gaze froze. I was speechless for a long time. Her expression seemed to be telling me, no wonder your confession failed. I lowered my head, speechless, completely losing the momentum I had just now. Seeing my pathetic state, Shen Mengyao covered her mouth and laughed, even though tears were still in the corners of her eyes. I smacked my lips in embarrassment. Just stay here. I'm begging you, okay? These were the most sincere words I could say. I also tried to put on a slightly kinder expression. Okay, I agree. Thank you. But why are you helping me? There's no reason. If I had to say, it's because I don't want my reputation in class to get any worse. Shen Mengyao blinked in surprise. But I've never heard in class that you have any bad reputation. The only news about you is that you confessed to Liu Ying. To me, that is a bad reputation. Aren't you afraid Liu Ying will be unhappy if you say that? Whatever. It has nothing to do with me anymore. I shrugged as if I didn't care at all. Shen Mengyao was a little surprised and asked probingly, don't you like her anymore? I shook my head. Something that doesn't get a response doesn't need to be insisted on anymore. I see. All right. After deciding to stay, Shen Mengyao hung her wet clothes up to dry. Then she sat dazed on the sofa, not knowing what to do, seeing me still studying. But not long after, I started scratching my head in frustration. Shen Mengyao slowly walked over to my side. After seeing that I was struggling with a math problem, she pointed her finger and started patiently explaining it to me. I listened intently, nodding occasionally. When I looked up again, it was 2:30 in the morning. I packed up my things and looked at Shen Mengyao. You go to the bedroom. I'll sleep on the sofa. Although my EQ isn't high, I at least know not to let a girl sleep on the sofa. But Shen Mengyao kept refusing. She was already very grateful to me for letting her stay here. The two of them went back and forth like that. From the living room to the bedroom, I turned on the bedroom light. Shen Mengyao saw the scene in the bedroom. It was clean and tidy, not at all like the bedroom of a boy living alone. Moreover, the bed was very large, with more than enough room for two people to sleep. Seeing me so insistent, Shen Mengyao also refused to back down, so she proposed, "So we both sleep in the bedroom, okay? I'll sleep on the floor." "Why are you sleeping on the floor?" "I'll sleep." The two of them argued for another 5 minutes. Shen Mengyao discovered that I was such a stubborn person. Seeing it was getting later and later, they finally adopted a proposal that both reluctantly agreed to, which was on that big bed, to use a blanket to separate the middle, and each person sleeps on one side. An unconcealable blush appeared on Shen Mengyao's face. She somehow agreed as if bewitched. She had to sleep in the same bed with a male classmate. She sat on the left side of the bed, hugging her legs with both hands, feeling a little uneasy in her heart. Only now did she realize that she was a girl after all, and I am a boy. For her to feel at ease sleeping here like this, her sense of safety is too weak. What if I do something to her? What then? A moment later, I came in, wearing a thin set of ice silk pajamas. The muscle lines under the clothes were particularly clear. Shen Mengyao only glanced once, before quickly looking away, but the tips of her ears quietly turned red. After turning off the bedroom light, the two of them lay on the bed, back to back, with a blanket separating them in the middle. She closed her eyes tightly, but opened them again not long after, because she couldn't sleep at all. Her attention was completely focused on me on the other side. A full 30 minutes passed before Shen Mengyao heard steady breathing, knowing that I had probably fallen asleep. So after a brief moment of relaxation, she also fell asleep. She even had a dream, dreaming that her parents were slowly walking away. When she suddenly opened her eyes and sat up, she realized it was already morning. Then she smelled a fragrant aroma wafting from the kitchen. Instantly waking up her still sleeping stomach, Shen Mengyao walked out of the bedroom and looked towards the kitchen, and found me wearing an apron, cooking. And at this moment, I turned around and, along with Shen Mengyao behind me, we looked at each other. "Hey, good morning," Shen Mengyao said softly, greeting me. "Yeah," I replied softly. Shen Mengyao looked at the lunchbox on the dining table, which contained the food I had just finished cooking. Just then, Shen Mengyao remembered that I used to always bring my own lunch to school instead of eating in the school cafeteria. "Are you preparing lunch? Why do you bring your own lunch?" "The school's food is pretty good." I simply replied, "As an ethnic minority, I have dietary restrictions. Is that so? No wonder your features look like it." "I've made breakfast. You can eat first." I pointed to the hot food on the side. At this moment, Shen Mengyao's stomach had already been awakened by this aroma. Seeing this, her stomach sent out even stronger hunger signals. "Yeah." Shen Mengyao nodded with a soft voice, then sat down at the dining table. But she didn't eat right away, but waited until I finished, and sat at the table too. Before she picked up her chopsticks, I asked while eating breakfast, "Are you still going to school? I have to go buy clothes today. I probably can't go to school until tomorrow." I nodded. Then I took a set of keys out of my pocket and threw them right in front of Shen Mengyao. "House keys. Come back after you finish shopping, otherwise I won't be able to get in." Shen Mengyao looked at the keys in front of her, knowing that I was afraid she had nowhere to go, and would leave secretly. She took the keys and replied softly, "I know," she thought to herself. "I can't just stay at his place forever. Although he intends to let her stay, she can't just stay without a care. But the money she had wasn't enough to rent a place outside right now. Studying is the main thing. She can't just drop out of school to work right now. Besides agreeing to stay here with me temporarily, she really has no other choice." After breakfast, I packed my things and hurried off. When I left, I didn't give Shen Mengyao any special instructions. Shen Mengyao looked at the empty room and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Could it be that I feel so at ease with her? Shen Mengyao planned to help me clean the house. After all, she's staying here temporarily. She should do something. She'll go out to buy clothes after she finishes cleaning. But when she went to my gym area and saw the dumbbells in front of her, she got a bit of a headache. After all, these things looked very heavy. Shen Mengyao had been cleaning for 20 minutes, when she suddenly glanced over and saw next to the cabinet a cardboard box placed in the corner. In the box were many letter-like papers, and a few small boxes. She squatted down and took out a piece of paper and looked at the content on it. A flash of surprise appeared in her eyes. It turned out these were all the things I had given to Liu Ying, love letters and gifts I had bought. Soon, it was time for afternoon classes to end. I had been on my way home for a while. On the way, I even saw the bench where I found Shen Mengyao yesterday. I should have asked for her phone number. What if she really left? I really only have that one key. Standing in front of the door, I knocked. Not long after, I heard footsteps coming from inside. I immediately breathed a sigh of relief. She stood in the doorway, looking a little different from how I saw her this morning. She seemed even more beautiful and radiant. Her eyes seemed to sparkle with light. "You're back?" "Yeah, good thing you didn't leave. Otherwise, I'd have to spend money on a locksmith." Hearing my words, Shen Mengyao couldn't help but lower her head and mumble, "I already promised you. How could I just leave?" "Oh right, you really don't have a phone. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to contact you if something came up." Hearing that, Shen Mengyao turned her head away in embarrassment. "I threw my phone into the river a few days ago. You're really something." I looked helplessly at the person in front of me, feeling she wasn't like the impression I had of her, as someone good at taking care of others, kind-hearted, and a cheerful and lively class president. Instead, it was like I went for a walk and picked up a crying, lost child. Then I turned and walked into the bedroom. When I came out, I was holding a phone in my hand. Use this for now. My old phone still works. I'll give you my second SIM card later. That way, at least I can contact you. Shen Mengyao took the phone, a look of surprise on her face. Her eyes looking at me were also full of disbelief, even though it's an old phone. He's just giving it to her to use like that? Why are you so good to me? Is it because of Liu Ying? Shen Mengyao asked in a low voice. In her heart, this was a very possible answer. Could it be because her relationship with Liu Ying is good? And since I like Liu Ying, I want to build a good relationship with her? I sat on the chair and looked at Shen Mengyao doubtfully. I was silent for a few seconds, then shook my head. I don't think this is being good to you. I think these are all things that should be done, just like how you helped me clean the house. Besides, no matter what I do, it definitely has nothing to do with Liu Ying. Then I sat at the table and started studying, while Shen Mengyao was fiddling on the sofa with the phone. She opened the photo album and found photos inside. She reflexively wanted to exit. After all, this is my privacy, but out of curiosity, she opened those screenshots and found that they were some chat logs. The person I was talking to was her best friend, Liu Ying. Looking at the content of the conversation, although it wasn't very ambiguous, you could tell their relationship must have been very good. At least they should be good friends. In the chat log, my words went from many to fewer and fewer. It was clearly just a few messages, but Shen Mengyao could see the psychological change in me from being full of expectations to complete disappointment. No wonder I didn't understand before why I persisted for so long. It turns out Liu Ying gave me hope with her own hands and then extinguished it with her own hands. For a moment, in her heart, there was a sense of contempt for Liu Ying's behavior. At the same time, she felt very sympathetic towards me. But as soon as Shen Mengyao looked up, she was startled, because she saw me sitting there, pen in hand, legs crossed, looking at her silently. She felt extremely embarrassed now. I said plainly, just delete everything in the phone. There's nothing useful inside. Hearing me say that, Shen Mengyao couldn't help but be stunned. But on second thought, it was true. Keeping these things was a source of my heartache. It was better to delete them all, so she obediently did so. Then Shen Mengyao borrowed a book from me and read it attentively. The two of them just sat there, studying quietly. Whenever I encountered a problem I couldn't solve, Shen Mengyao would patiently teach me by my side. Every time I finished a problem, I would show a look of utter despair. Shen Mengyao saw my tired look, covered her hand, covered her mouth, and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Just then, besides Shen Mengyao's laughter, a sudden rumbling sound was heard. Shen Mengyao's laughter stopped abruptly, frozen on her face. That rumbling was the sound of her stomach growling. I looked at Shen Mengyao doubtfully. Have you had dinner? Shen Mengyao's cheeks turned a faint shade of pink. She lowered her head and stammered, hungry. Not yet. Hearing that, I stood up and walked towards the kitchen. Wait, Shen Mengyao saw I was about to cook for her and quickly waved her hands. No need to go to such trouble. I won't eat. It's too late. Never mind. You can't go hungry at my place. After replying with that sentence, I walked into the kitchen and closed the door. Not long after, a fragrant smell came from the kitchen. I came out with a plate of hot fried rice. Here, eat. And Shen Mengyao didn't refuse much. After a soft thank you, Shen Mengyao started eating. A plate of fried rice in less than 3 minutes was polished off by her. After eating, Shen Mengyao ran into the kitchen to wash the dishes, thinking to herself, if I could eat like this every day in the future, it would surely be a wonderful thing. Shen Mengyao came to her senses and quickly dismissed this thought. She's only staying here temporarily. Once she's settled, she will definitely have to leave. At that time, she'll pay some rent. She can stay for free. However, after coming out of the kitchen, Shen Mengyao froze because she saw me standing next to the cabinet, staring intently at the cardboard box. I looked at Shen Mengyao and asked, you saw it? Shen Mengyao trembled all over. No. Alright, I saw it, but I didn't open each one to look. I only saw one letter. It's okay if you saw it, you can treat it as a joke. I plan to throw all this stuff away tomorrow morning. Are you really going to throw it away? Is there anything more worthless than returned love letters and gifts? It's just a pile of trash. Then I sealed the cardboard box with tape and took it to the door. To be with the trash that needs to be thrown out tomorrow morning. Time quickly passed to 12:30 at night. In the dark bedroom, the two of them lay on the bed just like that, with a blanket separating them in the middle. Shen Mengyao wrapped the blanket tightly around herself. Today, there was no discussion about who would sleep in the bedroom and who would sleep on the sofa. This was the second time she had slept in the same bed with a male classmate. If other classmates found out about this, how would she explain it? But does she really care about being misunderstood now? Her family had a major incident. At that time, she even thought of dying, wandering outside in her school uniform, walking and crying, completely ignoring the stares and whispers of others. It must be admitted that, if it weren't for me, she wouldn't know where she would be now. It could even be said that I saved her. Gucci? Yeah, I'm here. Hearing Shen Mengyao call him, I also replied in a low voice. The next second I heard Shen Mengyao's soft and weak voice saying, good night. This time, when Shen Mengyao slept, she was clearly much more peaceful than last night. The next day, when she came out of the bedroom, I had already prepared lunch. It's just that on the table, there were now 2 lunchboxes. Then I pushed the smaller one in front of Shen Mengyao. At this moment, Shen Mengyao looked at the lunchbox before her, blinking in surprise. I prepared this for you. It was no trouble. This way, you can save some lunch money, right? If you don't want it, I won't prepare it tomorrow. No, I want it. Shen Mengyao hurriedly covered her lunchbox with her hands, as if afraid I would take it back. That's right. There's also fruit and yogurt. I casually passed another small container over. Shen Mengyao looked at the things in front of her, her eyes lighting up. It was as if she had returned to her elementary school days with her mother by her side, and that feeling she could never go back to, she found it in me. At this moment, in the way Shen Mengyao looked at me, the joyous feeling of satisfaction was incredibly clear. Seeing Shen Mengyao's reaction, I became even more certain that deep down, she was still a child. After washing up and having breakfast, the two of us went out together, and I casually threw away the cardboard box full of my own painful memories, without even a final glance.